Hey everybody, welcome back to Top Down Commander. Today we're going to be doing a Sensei's Wisdom episode on cycling. Take off your shoes and let's head back into the deck dojo. Hey there Planeswalkers, welcome back to Top Down Commander for another episode of Sensei's Wisdom. I'm your Sensei, the Magus of the Salt himself. Sensei's Wisdom is where I take a topic in Commander that I want to talk about in a separate video. This week, with its return in Ikoria, I wanted to take a quick second to discuss cycling. Cycling is one of my favorite mechanics, primarily because it features three of my favorite words in Magic: draw a card. Now, I used to play a Zur the Enchanter cycling deck, and I also had a 4-color cycling deck with Ravos and Kaidel for a while. In fact, you can check out the link below to my deck tech over my Bicycle Built for 2 Commanders deck. In Commander 2020, one of the face commanders we're getting is Gavi Nest Warden. Gavi is 2, a blue, a red, and a white for a 2/5 human shaman that says you may pay 0 rather than pay the cycling cost of the first card you cycle each turn. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 red and white dinosaur cat creature token. At first glance, Gavi reminds me a bit of Cadena Slinking Sorcerer from Commander 2019. She's going to let us do the thing we want once each turn for free, and she's going to reward us for doing that thing. We just traded playing morphs for cycling cards. Either way, we're drawing cards, so I'm down. Now, in my experience, there are 3 important things in a cycling deck. 1 is finding ways to make your cycling free. 2 is finding ways to turn that cycling into death for your opponents. And of course, 3 is just having a critical mass of cycling cards so that you never whiff. Gavi does a great job of starting our engine by making our first cycle free each turn, even on our opponent's turns. We're going to continue this free cycling train with New Perspectives and Fluctuator. New Perspectives is going to draw us 3 cards when it enters, and then as long as we have 7 or more cards in hand, we can cycle for free. Fluctuator will make all of our cycling costs 2 generic mana less to activate. Fluctuator is an important part of any cycling deck. It's why when I build a cycling deck, I prioritize cards that cycle for 2 colorless mana over anything else. I want to find Fluctuator ASAP and get the train rolling immediately. Unfortunately, losing black means we lose access to some of my favorite cycling payoffs. We lose Archfiend of Ifnir, Bone Miser, and Faith of the Devoted. Faith of the Devoted is an especially big loss as this was the primary win con for all of my previous cycling decks, allowing us to pay 1 each time we cycle to drain each opponent for 2 and gain 2. We also lose access to Shadow of the Grave, which is a great instant speed way to put all of the cards you cycled back into your hand and repeat the process all over again. So what do we still have? Well, we've got Psychosis Crawler, Glinthorn Buccaneer, and Niv-Mizzet Perun to start. Psychosis Crawler will deal 1 damage to each opponent whenever we draw a card. Glinthorn Buccaneer will ping each opponent whenever we discard a card, and Niv is going to do 1 damage to any target each time we draw a card. Ironcrag Pyromancer is going to deal 3 damage to any target when we draw our second card each turn. Mad Ratter will give us 2 1/1 rat tokens when we draw our second card each turn. And, speaking of tokens, the Locust God is going to make a 1/1 flying insect with haste each time we draw a card. Then there's the brand new partner combo of Shabraz the Sky Shark and Bralin Sky Shark Rider. Now both of them have partners with the other, which means when you cast one, you get to search your library for the other. So Shabraz has flying and says whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on Shabraz and you gain 1 life. For 1 blue or 1 white, target human gains flying until end of turn. That's cute, and could help us stabilize with our life total, and it does create a giant flying threat, so not too bad. Bralin says whenever you discard a card, put a +1/+1 counter on Bralin, and it deals 1 damage to each opponent. For 1 red, target shark gets trample until end of turn. Bingo! We've got a winner. Bralin is a great replacement for Faith of the Devoted in this cycling deck, and the damage is free. And he comes with his own tutor in Shabraz, who's also useful on his own. It doesn't get much better than this. Now, red has traditionally been the weakest cycling color, so what else does red bring to a dedicated cycling deck? Tectonic Reformation is going to give all of your lands cycling for 1 red. Violent Impact and Volcanic Submersion can destroy an artifact or a land. Starstorm and Sweltering Suns could be decent board wipes. And then there's, of course, Decree of Annihilation, because some men just want to watch the world burn. And this isn't even including whatever new goodies we get in the Gavi Precon. Final thoughts. I think Gavi's going to be a much more powerful commander than people are necessarily expecting. I also think there are going to be 2 distinct build patterns. One, the one that I prefer, will be to build with a critical mass of cycling cards, prioritizing those that cycle for 2 generic mana. Next up, you'll focus on cards that make that cycling free or cheaper, so you can cycle as many cards as possible in 1 turn. And finally, you're going to use those cards like Psychosis Crawler, Glinthorn Buccaneer, and Brawlin Skyshark Raider to close out the game in 1 big turn. The second build path will be to focus on more of a slow burn, cycling 1 or 2 cards every turn, using things like Gavi, Ironcag Pyromancer, and Mad Ratter to control the board and gain incidental value, while still slowly pinging the board to death as before. There's also a lot of cards that cycle in these colors and make tokens, so this slower burn will allow you to make some tokens to keep yourself alive and to get in for damage that way. Overall, I'm a huge fan of the cycling mechanic, and I think this deck and this commander look like a lot of fun, and it'll be really interesting to see what happens to a cycling deck when you add red to the mix. Anyway, if you liked what you watched, please take a second to do all that YouTube stuff. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, share this video with your friends. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Magus of the Salt or on Facebook at Top Down Commander. But until next time, keep kicking ass.